going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Welcome to another edition of Mean Streets. Chris Meaney here with you. Mean Streets presented by Boom Fantasy. Use promo code FTN. Have some picks and some props here for tonight's football game. Monday night football game between the Chiefs, the 4-0 Kansas City Chiefs, and the highest scoring squad in the NFL, the New Orleans Saints. Yes, 31.9 points per game. I think Washington just behind them, of course, if they played two teams that they beat up on over the first couple weeks of the season, but they're still kind of cooking on offense. As for tonight, 5.5-point favorites, KC, the total at 43.5. I got to lean to the Saints at plus 5.5. That's the team that I picked in my spread pool. Kansas City, although 4-0, I haven't been super impressed with them so far this season. Talked about Mahomes as like a sit. In fantasy, had Joe Flacco ranked one spot ahead of him. And although it's Mahomes and we know what he can do, it's like 14, 15 different quarterbacks that have more fantasy points than him so far this season. And last year was quarterback 13 in fantasy points per game. And the explosiveness that the Chiefs thought that they would have, I mean, there's still Xavier Worthy there. He is a rookie. Hollywood Brown sideline, Rashee Rice sideline, Isaiah Pacheco sideline. So this team is really dealing with some injuries offensively. And you look at some of our tools over at FTN Fantasy, average depth of target, it's near the bottom, Patrick Mahomes. So he's not pushing the ball down the field. Barely got by Atlanta, and I thought Atlanta had multiple chances inside the red zone to score and win that football game. And then last week, against the Chargers, they won the game, but they didn't really win it in convincing fashion. So I'm a little bit uneasy laying the points with Kansas City, although it's Arrowhead and at home. I mean, Derek Carr is familiar with Kansas City. He's played at Arrowhead before. That's not going to be new for him. And I do like a lot of things that I've seen on the Saints side. Offensively, the O-line, down McCoy, and really down to like their third string center here. It's certainly tough, but I like what Clint Kubiak has done. They got playmakers on the offensive side of the football. And Alvin Kamara has been a beast so far this season. So I think the Saints will hang. And I have a lean to the under in terms of the total. I'm staying away from all of it. I did bet the Saints myself plus 5.5. So I do think that they keep things close. And I'm feeling like a 23-20 type game here with the Chiefs coming out ahead. But here's some props. I'm starting here with Alvin Kamara. Over 15.5 rushing attempts. The best number I'm seeing is over at FanDuel at minus 125 for Kamara so far this season. I mean, again, Clint Kubiak, the motion, the offensive line has played well. McCoy down is obviously that hurts. Fuaga, top pick for them in the draft. He's been awesome on the offensive line, creating some holes. But you look at Kamara. I mean, this is a team that's running the football before passing. 50 attempts, 15, 20, 26, and 19. 15 was week one when they blew out Carolina 47-10. So we would have got there. He would have had one or two more carries if that was a competitive game. But the 20, 26, and 19 over the last three games, no Taysom Hill. The attempt numbers go up when there's no Taysom Hill, right? We don't have to worry about Taysom, coming on the field and in short yardage situations or near the goal line in the red zone, because that's what we've seen over the past couple of years. So there's no Taysom Hill. He's dealing with fractured ribs. Alvin Kamara for 15.5 rushing attempts. I like the attempts more than the yards. I think Jay Seeley, talking on the SiriusXM show today, did say he liked the yards, but also had Kamara for 16 plus. So over 15.5 rushing attempts. Next, I'm going to Travis Kelce, over 5.5 catches here, minus 110 over at Caesars. Haven't really seen this number move. There were two bets that I put in when the lines came out. I'll get to the other one. We've seen some massive movement on the other one, but Travis Kelce, this is his offense now, right? Say what you want about the first couple weeks, and maybe it's just kind of getting up to speed. Last year, he started off slow as well, but again, no Rice. It's Travis Kelce's offense, and you could feel a lot better about him if you own him in fantasy. Last week, 9 targets, 7 grabs, 89 yards. He has 12 catches over his last 2 games. I lean catches over yards because I'm just, he's a little bit older now. I don't think he is as explosive. So there could be some quick throws from Mahomes to him, third down situations. If the game is indeed tight, we will see Mahomes go to Travis Kelce. I know that Swifties are breaking down Chiefs film on TikTok and saying that Mahomes doesn't like Kelce, but is going to go to Kelce, especially if it's a tight ball game here. So over 5.5 catches, minus 110. Here's Kareem Hunt. On Wednesday, I do believe, put in the over 36.5 rushing yards for Kareem Hunt in our bet tracker and got that number at -110. Now I'm seeing the best number at 47.5. I jumped in our Discord this morning and I said the best number I'm seeing is 43.5 at BetMGM. So this is what happens. People, wait to Monday to bet. I'm the type of person who likes to jump in early and make that bet because I do feel like the lines will move. I'm still comfortable over 47.5 rushing yards at -118. That best number is Bet River. So we've seen an 11-point jump here. Some books I'm seeing at 51, 52. Use the prop shop. It's a free tool over at FTN Fantasy. Can save you a lot of time and save you a lot of cash. We have Kareem Hunt projected for 50 rushing yards. So I would take anything. I think he lives in the mid 50s at least. I think it's his backfield. I think we will see a little bit of Samaje Perine. He got sprinkled in near the goal line last week, which was surprising. But Kareem Hunt in his first game back in Kansas City, we saw Carson Steele fumble the ball and Kareem Hunt overtook the backfield. He had 14 carries for 69 yards. He had 3 of the 4 RB targets. I think that Steele just takes a back seat. I think this is why they brought in Kareem Hunt, because Steele is a fullback. He's not a guy that you can really count on. You want some explosiveness, and I know that Kareem Hunt's been sub 4 yards per carry over the past couple of years, but he did have 9 rushing touchdowns last year. He offers more to Andy Reid's offense than Carson Steele. CEH is doubtful due to an illness. P. Ryan's going to get sprinkled in here and there, maybe some third down situations. Maybe he gets a couple carries, a couple targets, but Alvin Kamara over 11.5 rushing attempts. I think that there's an edge there. I think he gets back up into the 14 plus. I think what we saw last week carries over here. 14 plus, 15 rushing attempts. So 11.5. I may like that more than Kelsey, 5.5 catches, right? It's right there for me. But I think this will be a close ball game, and I think Kelsey will get looked at here, as I mentioned. So Kareem Hunt over at 11.5 rushing attempts, -120. If you already bet the 36.5, you're sub with us. Awesome. Let's hope we get that. If you want to get involved, I do still think that there's an edge at 47.5 to the over at Bet Rivers. The other guy I'm going to here is Xavier Worthy at over 40.5 receiving yards over at BetMGM. Again, this guy's usage is going to go up. His snaps are going to go up. They're going to game plan to get him more involved. I don't think he's ever going to be a big volume guy this season, even with Rashee Rice sideline. He doesn't have a game with more than 4 targets. He doesn't have a game with more than 3 catches. And last week, he had the career high 3 catches and 73 yards. When Rashee Rice went down, we live bet Kelsey over 5.5 catches or maybe 6.5, and he got to the 7. We live bet Worthy at over 40, and he got 73. He's very boomer bust. He's going to have good weeks, going to have bad weeks, but I think from a fantasy football perspective, you just play him. I think that Jamison Williams and Rashid Shaheed and maybe Tank Dell as other boomer bust wide receivers have a little bit of a higher ceiling. Worthy fairly raw, but he's going to get involved. Mahomes going to use him and take some deep shots. And I think he's going to realize that he can rely on him more than he can rely on guys like Juju Smith-Schuster, Justin Watson, Sky Moore. Those guys are the reasons me in there as well. Those are the reasons why they drafted Xavier Worthy, why they signed Hollywood Brown. Because they couldn't rely on those guys. There may be some moments here from Juju and Watson today. I don't expect a lot from Sky Moore, but hey, it wouldn't shock me, if he had a couple catches. But I think Worthy, this number here, because he can do it on one catch. We saw the touchdown catch he had last week against the Chargers, right? It's the explosiveness over the top. If they are leaning on the run game quite a bit with Hunt, maybe, there's some play action there and they can take a shot to Worthy, but he could do this on a slant. He can get half of this on a bubble screen. He can, I even have the lean to the over 2.5 rushing yards for Worthy. And I was wrong last week betting him at over 5.5. Week 1, he had 21 yards on the ground. Week 2, 5. Week 3, 13. And then nothing last week. But I just think with Rashee Rice sideline, they're going to find ways to get him more involved, whether it's, a quick bubble screen, a slant, or a little RPO or an end around or two. Like, he's just got a ton of speed. So I bet that one myself over 2.5 rushing yards. I'm not coming here giving that one as a play for you guys, but actually do have it in the tracker. Just kind of wanted to limit the bets, not come in here with like 8 or 9, because there's actually quite a bit I like here for tonight, which is rare for me for honestly a Monday night or Thursday night football game, believe it or not. The other guy here is Rashid Shaheed. I told you guys at the start of the season that I would bet Rashid Shaheed every week. If it's 50 or fewer yards, I'm going to bet him every week. So that's what I'm doing. And the same applies for Jamison Williams, right? These guys may not be big volume guys. Xavier Worthy, we include him, but there's explosiveness to their game. Some of these guys are targeted down the field. Rashid Shaheed has had one of the largest average depth of targets in the NFL over the past couple of years. That's why he has games with 73 yards, 96 yards, 83 yards. He does have a game with 0. That's going to happen, right? When you have a high A dot like that, it's sometimes hard to connect, but Carr is accurate. And I know for a fact that more so than KC, what the Saints want to do, and that's run the football with Clint Kubiak, have some guys in motion and use some play action passes and take some shots down the field. I've seen Carr take a shot down the field with Shaheed in every game so far this season. And I mentioned some of those yardage numbers in 73, 96, and 83. It doesn't take a whole lot. Last week, I think, was a little bit of an outlier in terms of 8 catches. I think he had 8 grabs for 83 yards, but the first couple of weeks was just like, a couple shots down the field. We saw it in the first 2 weeks back to back. The Eagles were able to get some pressure on Derek Carr in that game, and they weren't able to take a shot. That's my one concern. That's why I don't have a lot of Saints props here, because I do think this game will be closer than the spread suggests. And I think that the Saints will run the football with Alvin Kamara. So yeah, I have a lean to Olave over 4.5 catches, slightly juiced. But I'm going with Rashid. I think there'll be a deep shot. If they run the football with Kamara and they have a little bit of success, they could take that deep shot. And I don't think McDuffie's going to be on Shaheed. And they do have a great secondary, but I think he'll be on Olave. So I'm going to go with Rashid over 46.5 receiving yards. Honestly, if I were to rank them, I would kind of in the order that I gave you guys. Like, I would go with Kamara here for the attempts, Kelsey for the catches, Kareem Hunt for the attempts and the rushing yards. Worthy over Shaheed, but they're both kind of very similar plays. Big boom or bust, just takes a couple catches. You can mess with the algorithm, have some fun in 365, take the under, maybe 4 catches for Worthy, but the over yards, and same sort of deal with Rashid if you wanted to. We don't need to get that nuts here on a Monday. We're trying to have some winners here for you, but that's a strategy I sometimes take with some of these island games. For touchdowns, I've been pretty happy with these touchdowns. They're hard to predict. I feel like on Monday we nailed a couple. I think we had like Montgomery, and we even had Huntley as a long shot. We didn't get. It doesn't matter. We didn't get DK Metcalf, who was kind of chalky there, but I think we've been doing okay. And I'm trying not to look at odds so much this year as just guys who I think are going to score. Like I said it before about David Montgomery, and I think his number was brutal, but I thought he was just going to score touchdowns. Kenneth Walker, I think he's just going to score a touchdown. The odds are not great. So there's a couple here that the odds are not good. And then a couple long shots for you if you wanted to go that way. So Kareem Hunt plus 130. I think he scores a touchdown. I think it was like an outlier that P. Ryan had that goal line attempt. I don't see too many goal line rushing attempts in his future. So I think Kareem Hunt is that guy at plus 130. I think Travis Kelce scores a touchdown at plus 140. Not terrific odds, but I think Kelce scores a touchdown. Rashid Shaheed, just talked about it, the play action. I think there's more of a touchdown ceiling with Rashid Shaheed as opposed to Chris Olave. Kareem Hunt is another one as well. Like, that's a guy I didn't even bother looking because I didn't expect the odds to be all that good for Kareem Hunt. Without Taysom Hill there, he should get those carries that sometimes go to Taysom Hill. It's a thing. He had 25, 26 red zone rushing attempts last season. Taysom Hill, and kind of cuts into what Alvin Kamara can do, although he did have a 4 touchdown game earlier this year. The odds for Alvin Kamara minus 105, minus 140. So it's not really worth it. If you want to do some sort of same game parlay with like Hunt and Kamara, or Kamara and Kelsey, you can kind of get behind that. But these are individual bets for me. Kareem Hunt plus 130, Travis Kelsey plus 140, Rashid Shaheed at plus 260. And then my longer shot bets are Juju Smith-Schuster, who I'm not a big believer in. He's to this point, I want to say this point of his career, but he's still kind of fairly young. He's not going to give you a whole lot. He did have a touchdown in week 3. He had 1 target in week 1. It did come in the red zone, end zone, actually, and he dropped the pass. It was actually a really good play by the defender. But, he sometimes gets, most of the time, is going to get those short and intermediate type of targets, and they could come in the red zone. So I've seen Mahomes look at him a couple times in his stints with Kansas City. So plus 500, I think, is decent. Just, when they get inside the red zone, I expect Hunt and Kelsey to be the guys, and Mahomes could kind of tuck and run himself. But I think a long shot bet there. And I wouldn't treat it as a full unit. Like, I'd put a unit on Hunt and Kelsey and Shaheed, but like maybe 0.25 units on Juju Smith-Schuster. And then Juwan Johnson is the other long shot here for me in this game. I mean, he's a big body. Which does help Derek Carr, where Shaheed is like that deep threat touchdown guy. But when they get inside the red zone, I kind of feel like Shaheed and Olave are like behind Juwan Johnson, Foster Moreau, Taysom Hill, Alvin Kamara. Like, that's what I'm thinking, like Clint Kubiak's thought process is look for these kind of mismatches, big body type of receivers. And Juwan Johnson is just that. He had a touchdown in week 1. And, if you look at, the course of his career, 2022, he had 7 touchdowns. He had 4 touchdowns last year. I mean, this is a guy who's 6'4", like 234, 235. He's a big body there for Derek Carr. So plus 550 for him to get the touchdown as well. That's going to do it, guys. If you're looking for some waiver wire stuff, subscribe to our YouTube page. Jake Seeley and myself will be recording videos on Tuesdays and Wednesdays every week of the season at FTN Fantasy Tuesday. We kind of dive into the week that was and waiver wire process, some buy lows and some sell highs, and Wednesdays ranking Wednesday. But if you're looking for more stuff, the Sirius XM show from 1 to 3, Monday to Friday, channel 87 FTN Fantasy with myself, Jake Seeley, and we get Dane Martinez as well 3 times a week. But it's becoming that time of the season again, right? The NHL, October, all the bets, all the picks over at ftnfantasy.com from everybody. Projections, tools, FTN Show will save you a little bit of cash if you're looking to be part of the family. Sign up for a month and see what we have to offer. The betting model in college football and the NFL has been on point. We have college basketball and NBA coming back soon. Postseason's in full swing. NHL just returned. We're into week 6 here now in the NFL. So the projections and the tools are really on point. But I'd like to say that a couple of us are doing all right when it comes to some picks and some props as well. So appreciate you guys taking the time to hang out. I'd say 23-20 for KC. 23-20. Saints cover. We're going Kamara attempts. We're going Kelsey catches. We're going Hunt attempts and yards. I take it as high as 49.5, but we're loving that we got 36.5. Worthy at 40.5. Rashid Shaheed at 46.5. Touchdowns. Hunt, Kelsey, Shaheed. Longer shot plays here with Juju and Juwan Johnson. Good luck tonight. Enjoy the football. Let the winners be yours. Subscribe to the FTN YouTube page. Smash the like button. And stay tuned for tomorrow. Dangle Bet Sally here on FTN Fantasy. Have a good one. Talk to you soon. Cheers.